Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, I want to talk about how you should engage in sexual activity with Peyronies so it does not get worse, or so you don't get the disease if you're worried about it. But I consider modifying your sexual practices um, or how you masturbate to be a major part of getting better. Um, in fact, when I first kind of found like how to get better from Peyronies, it was really about traction by hand and changing the way I was doing things. I just stopped actually. I stopped masturbating, and I wasn't having sex at all for a really long time, and that's when it started getting a lot better. But this is this took a long period of time. I remember going months and months going by where I wasn't masturbating much at all, and when I would do it, I would do it a really specific way. And then it was kind of like years later that I got into a long-term relationship, and I started to see what was important for me uh, when having sex in order to make it not get worse. And ultimately, it's not that complicated. But I will point out just a few things that I think are really important to keep in mind so the disease does not get worse. So, first off, when it comes to how often you have sex or masturbate, I'll say that you can have sex more than you are able to masturbate in general, if only because sex is the more natural thing on your penis. Especially if you're not using any kind of lubrication for masturbation. It's really unnatural, especially in the seated position where you're like sitting on your prostate, and also you're not moving your body at all during masturbation, so your blood flow is really poor, especially in your pelvic area, and it's just not a natural thing to do. So I hear of guys masturbating like every day or multiple times a day, and they're complaining about, oh, am I going to get Peyronies, or I have some bending, and I just there's nothing I can tell you. You're finished. Like if you're doing it that often, you're definitely going to be in trouble. It's too Peyronies is far too fragile of a thing to be able to masturbate every single day and not have problems. That's like having serious elbow damage and going to the gym every single day and being like, hey bro, am I going to be okay? Like, no, you're not. You're definitely not. And I don't care if some of your friends masturbate multiple times a day. If you have any Peyronie symptoms at all, that means you, for some reason, you have it. For some reason, you're susceptible to it, either genetically or metabolically, or due to an injury, or maybe due to a congenital curve, which can put you at risk for Peyronies in some cases. So when it comes to masturbation, I would say don't do it often. I would say do it like once a week, or less, and make sure that you have very, very good erections. And this is kind of my first point, I guess, is that for sex or masturbation, you have to make sure your erections are 100%. And you also want to make sure that you keep it at 100%, or really take your time with it. So when you have Peyronies, when a guy has Peyronies, he has scar tissue or damaged areas of the penis that are like fibrotic, and these areas don't fill out with blood as easily. So you really, one of the things that guys with Peyronies complain of is they might have a lot of bending while they're filling out. So from when they go from zero erection to 100%, it might take longer, and it might feel a little bit weird, and there might be more deformity. But then if you take like a half hour, to get to how can I say this? If you take like a half hour to just stimulate yourself, or do foreplay with a girl or whatever, then by then those kind of damaged areas will be filled out. So it really can take a long time, and I recommend you take as much time with it as possible. And I would say one of the worst things for penile health is masturbating with like 70% erection, or 80 even, and just getting it over with. And that's sadly what most guys are doing from a young age they're sitting, at the computer watching porn, and they're just going at it with no regard to how they're doing it, or if they're completely filled out or not. And if you never let your penis completely fill out, then those areas never have any reason. The damaged areas never have any reason to get blood or oxygen, and they never have any reason to fill out. So then you're going to get indentations and hourglassing. So if you want to masturbate in a healthy way as a man, or have sex in a healthy way, you really do need to make sure your penis is completely filled out and you take your time with it, and you're not doing it too often. When it comes to masturbation, it's not a natural thing, based on the way it's happening physically. So like your grip on your penis is not a natural sensation, unless you use lubrication. Then it's a little bit more natural. But in general, it's not a very natural thing. So if you want to make it more natural, then I would say use lubrication and stimulate yourself very slowly. Not this crazy fast kind of motion that you see in porn. You see guys just going crazy on this like half erect penis, just jacking it off like crazy. Like, that's not healthy. That's not good for you. Don't let a girl do that to you either. Don't let a girl just use her hand and just jack you off like really fast and rough like that. And if a girl thinks that's cool and it looks sexy, tell her it's not. So what's sexy really comes down to what you think is sexy, and it's also just common sense. Don't let a girl be rough like that on you. And okay, so I guess I need to organize my thoughts here. So take your time, make sure you're completely filled out. Don't do it too often, especially in the case of masturbation. And one of the other reasons why masturbation is so much worse than sex for you is because your pelvic area is very tight and your prostate doesn't move. Whereas sex, on the other hand, you're rocking your body, moving your prostate around and kind of shaking it up. And I've noticed guys with prostate issues, sex is a lot better for them than masturbation, because they're kind of shaking up their prostate. It sounds kind of weird, but I think you'll notice that you come a lot more during sex. You ejaculate a lot more than masturbation because you kind of shake your pelvic area around. And I don't know why this is. It could be just blood flow. It could be because you're literally shaking your prostate and moving the semen around. I don't know. But there's a huge difference. And so missionary position definitely really gets the blood moving around, and you can really relax your pelvic area. You should try to. And with the girl on top, with you moving, and be very careful if she's on top of you. But if you're the one moving your hips and she's on top of you, that can be really really good to kind of for your pelvic area. I think that's really one of the best positions there is for me anyway with Peyronies. And then so if you are masturbating, you do need to relax your pelvic region as much as possible and never clench your pelvic area. So for a long time I thought that part of the reason why I got Peyronies was because I used to always clench my pelvic area. And I actually had to in order to ejaculate for years when I was younger. And even now I still have problems with it, and I really have to focus on relaxing the pelvic area. And there's a lot of guys online who would tell you that they have pelvic problems, like too tight, always clenching the pelvic area, which may have caused some of their symptoms as well. And also a lot of guys with hard flaccid do think that they have some pelvic issues that may be contributing to that. So just when you're walking around, you need to be relaxing your pelvic area, not just masturbating or having sex, but in your everyday life, you need to be thinking about it. And practicing kegels, or not kegels, but the reverse kegels. Practicing reverse kegels can really help you with that. I recommend like squatting down and doing reverse kegels, which is a pushing out. Kegels are when you tighten your pelvic muscles, but reverse kegels are when you push out and kind of relax them. So when my Peyronies was really, really bad, I couldn't masturbate or have sex once without extreme bending, like sometimes 360 degrees, like completely, my flaccid penis would bend so much. And the only way I could get better was by doing traction by hand and abstaining for a week or 2 weeks. And then when I would masturbate, I could only do it while squatting down in my apartment. Just the craziest thing. I remember just being out of my mind. And it's embarrassing, but literally the only way I could masturbate was if I was in a squatting position on the ground and with my pelvic area completely relaxed. And then after that, I would notice I would not get any bending after I would ejaculate. So I did this for months and months, and eventually the time between how often I could masturbate without deformity afterwards would lessen. So finally today, now I probably could masturbate multiple times a day and be fine. And that's the interesting thing is in a certain weird way, you do have to let your penis rest. And I could make a separate video on should you let it rest versus use it or lose it, which is a huge debate. But the general answer is just that you want to do both, and that you want to get the benefits of use it or lose it while also healing through resting it. So that means you want to have the best quality erections possible, and make sure they, you really take your time and do masturbate or have sex correctly. You want to have the best erections possible, and then you want to not touch it and let it heal for, like a week or longer. And then when you do masturbate or have sex, it's going to be a really good erection, and you're going to remodel your penis in the process. So really good erections are key, and you can achieve that. You can take supplements to like citrulline to give you better erections. You can take Cialis or Viagra and all these things. But in general, you do want to kind of change your brain chemistry and the chemistry in your body, and really wait and abstain. So for those of you who are masturbating multiple times a day and you have some mild bending, and from my point of view, you guys are beyond help, and there's nothing I can say. It's just that bad. Because you got to understand that you're talking to a guy who has had Peyronies for over a decade. And for me, it's like I said, it's like imagine you're talking to a bodybuilder about your elbow problems, and you're like doing arms every single day, and this guy would just laugh at you. What are you talking about? You're worried about your elbows, and you're doing this every day. What are you doing? What are you doing? So you just seriously realize that for me and for a lot of guys, you have to abstain for a long time, and it's just not acceptable to masturbate twice a day, even if you can do it. Even if I can do it, I had to spend years not doing that before now I can actually be able to do it. And consider your future. Again, I'm not morally against masturbation in any way whatsoever, but I'm just taking a very realistic approach here, where you have to let your penis heal, and you have to get all the inflammation out of there. And of course, you also want to have good erections. But I would say if you're a young guy, you need to really focus on abstaining first. Okay. There's always going to be exceptions to these things. You might find a guy who says, I don't masturbate at all and I have Peyronies. And then you have to look at other aspects of this guy. Do his parents have it? Did he injure himself? Is he not masturbating enough? Is he not getting healthy erections? Is he not exercising? Does he have a high insulin diet? And does he have hyperinsulinemia? And we have to consider all those things. But I guess the general message, take-home message here is that quality erections are key. Resting your penis is key. And you really want to take your time to allow your erections to fill out, and make sure you stimulate your entire penis with lubrication or having actual sex. And the pelvic region is a big part of this too, as I said. And I would say that that's probably about it as far as how you should masturbate or have sex. But if you want to talk about positions that are kind of safe or dangerous, I would say there's no position that's safe with Peyronies, and that shouldn't scare you away. It's just that it should let you know, or let your partner know, that you want to be careful no matter what position you're doing, even missionary position. I have a indentation that's much better now, but lasted years from missionary position. And it's so easy to damage yourself in missionary position, not just when you slip out, but if the girl bends you and arches her back. So when a girl orgasms, a lot of girls tend to arch their back. And what that basically does is it bends your penis up if you're in missionary position. And honestly, I think my true hardcore Peyronie symptoms started after a girl did that to me, and it was really mild. Like, she hardly did it at all, but I remember thinking, this doesn't feel right, and it didn't feel right. And the next day, I woke up with a really bent penis. It was just terrible. And luckily, I'm much better now. But I remember that actually really did trigger one of my indentations. And so what you want to do is, before a girl orgasms, you want to either tell her not to do that, or you want to hold her leg down. You can grab one leg and kind of hold it, make sure she doesn't do that. And something like doggy style is even more dangerous. So just make sure your partner knows, like, don't bend your penis. It's kind of common sense. And also, I think I've said this before, but receiving oral sex can also trigger Peyronies and injure you. So, in fact, I know I got an indentation from oral sex. Surprisingly, if she's letting your penis kind of hit the back of her mouth, you can damage your penis just like anything else. So, don't think that missionary is safe. Don't think that oral sex is safe. And also keep in mind that having a girl give you a hand job or use her hands is also really dangerous, depending on how she's doing it. It's not a natural thing. So you do want to mimic, like, if you're going to masturbate, you want to kind of mimic sex, which should be this kind of smooth, lubricated kind of experience that stimulates the entire penis to get blood flowing through the whole thing. And so when you masturbate, use lubrication, stimulate your entire penis, make sure you're completely hard, take your time, and just kind of treat your penis really gently. When guys get Peyronies, I try to tell them usually, like, treat your penis like a broken arm or something. Like, you want to really let it heal, and treat it as a valuable kind of I don't know, almost like a divine, like, gift to you. It's like, just treat it well. You really don't want to just hurt yourself. And I know I've hurt myself over years of masturbating improperly, but now I finally have my own way to do it, and I'm doing great. The other thing is, don't be afraid to tell your partner about this, and don't be shy about it. Like, just tell her, like, I got to be careful with my penis. I heard it, or I have a genetic susceptibility to this issue where my dick hurts, and I just have to take my time with it. And you can make it sexy, even if your dick is bending or you have indentations. You can still make it sexy and take your time with it, and really, look at her in the eyes and hold that sexuality and kind of laugh with her about it, and, make it sexy and romantic. You totally can. And, that's ultimately what makes sex good. It's not about just jamming it in and pumping away. I mean, you want to take your time and build it up, and, really engage with her, and, do foreplay with her, and make it awesome. Make it pornographic, but not in a violent kind of rushed way. Like, really enjoy every aspect of it, and treat your body well. So I guess that's it. But let me know if you have any questions. I know I could just keep on rambling on this kind of stuff, but I'll try to separate my videos a little bit better in the future, and I'll record another one soon for you guys. All right, take care.